Nigeria, by extension, Africa, battles a growing youthful population, and with little or no meaningful engagement, lives a ticking time bomb on our hands. We are a blessed continent with great wealth, both in people and material. Our focus on ways remains driving conversations that affects us all. Topics in the news, social concerns, politics, leadership, governance, empowerment, resource management, conflict management, finance, SME sustainability, technological innovation, food security, health, education, brain drain, our well-being, citizenship, and much more. Our goal is to continuously drive these conversations, keep them burning at the table to effect a positive change, both for our nation and continent. Ways, what are you saying, has a secret ingredient that completes the conversation every single episode, and that ingredient is you. Our past conversations shaped our yesterday. To shape our tomorrow, we must keep talking. So, I want to hear you. Be a part of our live conversations Mondays through Fridays. And let's all have our say.
In Nigeria, the race for the 2027 general elections has already begun, not in 2026, not even quietly, but boldly and prematurely in 2025. Now, despite clear provisions in the Electoral Act that prohibit early campaigning, political actors across the country are already deep in the trenches of success, battles and successions, alignment, strategic defections, now from Rivers State to Kano to Edo to Lagos State. Political attention is already shifting from governance to power play. Billboards disguised as thank you tours, party meetings framed as stakeholders' engagement, unofficial campaigns disguised as empowerment schemes to dominate the scene. It's another episode on your favorite primetime show, Ways. My name is Messi Bokpo, and today we're discussing the scramble for 2027 in 2025. In Nigeria. Now, remember that Ways is all about you. It means that you are the why in the Ways. All you need to do is join the conversation now and daily and add your voice. Head over to our YouTube channel at Official Upgrade TV. Hit the subscribe button, like, share, and invite your friends to join the show now. I'd also like to hear your thoughts when the phone lines are open. It means that you can call in and join the show. As always, please ponder on my quote for today. For a politician, the long term is between now and the next election. Well, we'll delve into this much later. But first off, I need to take a quick break, and when I return, I'll let you know what I found in the news. Please stay with us. You're still watching Ways hashtag, what are you saying? Now, the United States has decided to revoke the citizenship of about 25 million naturalized immigrants. A new Justice Department memo has been directed federal prosecutors to focus on denaturalizing U.S. citizens who were born abroad and committed specific crimes or lied during their citizenship process. The move targets an estimated 25 million, like I mentioned earlier on, Americans with 10 priority categories outlined for review. Unlike criminal cases, those facing civil denaturalization processes do not have the right to a lawyer. Now, it's going to be a lot of drama, and the government needs less evidence, to succeed. Now, the policy is aimed to revoke citizenship for individuals linked to terrorism, fraud, fraud or other serious offenses. Now, critics warn it could, it could just target persons who are not supposed to be targeted. So you want to say unfairly targeted immigrants, while supporters say it strengthens national security. But fingers crossed. Tonight, I'm not doing this alone. Of course, I do have a guest in the studio, and that's actually a surprise. Marian Okon is here with me tonight, an award-winning broadcast journalist. I'd like to share your thoughts on this one, being that you just got back from the United States.
That's an interesting way to put it.
Yeah. But what do you think about this?
For those who followed Donald Trump over the years, from his first coming to now, you'd obviously know that he's an American first guy. He in his way, he's prioritizing the U.S. So whatever he's doing, he thinks that he's doing it in the best interest of the United States. He thinks that if you own a big company, you own a startup, if you are not basing your headquarters in the U.S., then we're not having a conversation. And that's why he's promoted Tesla when he came this time around, even though, you know, he and Elon Musk are not in terms. In fact, I saw a tweet by Elon Musk today querying his big, beautiful budget and, you know, not having very savory words about it. But what Donald Trump is doing is trying to shut the doors of America to people who they think are pilfering from American wealth, American taxpayers' monies. But unfortunately, there are those who also say that, are the Americans really Americans? Because the aborigines are here saying, well, the guys who took over our land are trying to tell other people not to come into the same land. They took over from us. So, I mean, it's a conversation that is debatable, heavily debatable. There are members of Donald Trump's Republican Party that does not necessarily agree with some of the policies and programs that he's undertaken, but most of the MAGA people who are supporters of the Make America Great Again, love this idea of shutting the borders. You can also detail this to what happened in Britain when they decided that they were going to have Brexit. Most times these things are not clearly thought out. The people who sold Brexit to the UK are now, you know, feeling bad because now the UK is going back into some sort of relations with the EU because no man is an island.
I am just worried about, so as much as you would want to think that these crimes were committed, because if you look at the category and the priority for those who would be denaturalized, if I'm not mistaken, as those who committed a crime or lied about the entire process whilst they were trying to get their citizenship, you probably think that, I mean, it's a long time.
It sounds,
and let it slide.
If you ask me, it's medicine after death. But like I said, Donald Trump is trying to decongest the United States for the United States.
Can it be decongested?
That's what I'm saying. The aborigines have, the Native Americans have a say in these kind of things. This is a country for everyone. How are you going to shut the doors when we didn't shut the doors on you and now you claim to be the owners of the land?
It's like Lagos. It's like telling Lagos, everybody should just go
It's like
home.
people telling me to leave Lagos and go back to where I came from. Hello.
Yeah.
It's a melting pot. We're all going to come.
All right, so let's move away from that. I found another one that caught my attention is about the National Agency for Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, who they have actually escalated their effort against the Nigerian entertainer Darlington, they call him Darlington Okoye, also known as Speed Darlington, by placing him on an international watch list. The agency had earlier invited Speed Darlington for questioning over an alleged involvement in human trafficking. However, he dismissed the invitation, calling it a form of a psychological manipulation. In his response, he demanded payment of for any appearance. He said that, you know, before he could appear. I mean, just imagine, I wish we could roll that tape, but we don't even have time. 2.5 million. And he said, that's what I charge for appearance. That's actually very cheap, Darlington. He said, round trip tickets for me and my PA to come because I call that appearance. The situation has now intensified because, you know, the agency has also offered or is offering 15 million naira bounty for information leading to his arrest. Honestly, if I do have an information leading to his arrest, I would gladly give it.
I don't want to say what I'm thinking, but he deserves it because I saw the video that led to this. He probably didn't think about it when he was putting out that video. But then that video smacked of sexual abuse and he being a predator to a young child. Whether he likes it or not, he has to answer. He's not going to you know, comic his way out of this. I think that Naptip should not stop. Get Speed Darlington, let him explain what he meant by that video. And then get the hotel to also produce some sort of evidence. You know, I mean, the hotel might want to shy away from it, but he made very damning statements about blood on the shits and stuff like that. It's just, we're in 2025, he needs to be...
You know, like you said, Naptip should actually get him, and if I really do have any information about his whereabouts, I would gladly, you know, just give it out. Because even the second video, he also did mention that he didn't commit any crime. He said again, this second video he's just made, that, oh yeah, I slept with a 15-year-old, so did I commit any crime? And all of that.
He said it.
He said it. Oh, you know, Nigerians, sometimes we don't watch the videos.
Speed is a wanted man. He has to be caught.
And again, I feel like Speed, I'm sorry, but there's so much, we enable a lot of behaviors. There's too many people that have actually come to limelight that really we have given attention to, we have promoted, we have indulged their behavior. Because if you really ask me, I don't know the kind of content that, what's his name again? Speed actually puts out that makes people...
he gives me vibes of someone who's on the spectrum of schizophrenia. I don't want to call it madness, but he's schizophrenic. Yeah.
Okay, we'll leave that for another day. Now, this particular news actually caught my attention. It caught my attention to a point that I had to do this story not this morning. I did it like late last night when I saw it. The World Health Organization, WHO, says no fewer than 871,000 people die worldwide annually from loneliness. Now, according to the WHO's commission, 1 in 6 people worldwide is affected by loneliness, which along with social isolation can lead to physical illness. He said that loneliness increases the risk of stroke, heart attacks, diabetes, depression, anxiety, and suicide. And the WHO said that lonely teenagers are 22% more likely to achieve lower grades than their peers while in finding or keeping a job, Now, they also say that it has a serious impact on individuals, but also not just individuals, but the society at large, with billions in costs to healthcare system and, you know, all of the loss to employment.
Oh. I mean, we can talk about that forever.
Why do you think we're talking about that forever?
I guess that the reason, I'm going to go a little spiritual here. The reason why God created Eve to add to Adam in the garden was because he didn't want him to be lonely. Humans were created to be communal. I feel like if you are alone for too long, those of us who are isolated, for example, I like my personal space. I have a special relationship with my bed. Once in a while, because I people a lot, so when I'm done peopling, I just want to be alone. But that doesn't mean that I don't love my people, and I don't have moments that I want to be with them. But there are times that there are people like us who can not people and not be bothered. But there are also times that you need people around you because it is a spice of life. You cannot be alone for too long. And sometimes, even when you are trying to be with people and people are not available to be with you, there's that sadness that overwhelms you and you begin to feel alone, especially when you're going through troubles, you're going through hard times, and you really don't have somebody to talk to. It can actually... And there are lots of young people who are isolated because the world right now has been built in a way that it's isolatist in nature. I don't think if that's a word, but you see that we're so in tune with our devices, we're playing games, especially for the youngsters, so they're not even connected to their parents. They're so sucked into these things that they're doing, which can lead to loneliness. So when those things are no longer there to fill the space, yes, they don't do well. And they're not used to opening up to tell people how they're feeling. So they're struggling with, suicidal thoughts. They're struggling with depression. And because of that isolation thing that happens in that space where they find themselves, it's difficult for them to bring other people into their space. So you're failing, you're failing at work, you're failing at your school, you're failing. Look, I'm not a, what are they called? I'm not a therapist, but I do know this from experience that you need to people. It's very good, it's healthy.
But how about... how about the fact that sometimes some people can still be with people
and
but
still
then
be lonely?
Feel lonely?
Because we also live in a world where we want to belong more than we want to be with people who align with our ideologies, with our lifestyle, the people who actually love us. There are a lot of people who are in relationships with people who don't like them. And that's because they chose those people, not because those people chose them. Do you understand what I mean? So you have a group of friends that you know that naturally they're not supposed to be your friends because what their priorities are don't align with yours. But because you like the, I'm looking for the right word, you like the optics, you like that you're part of that girl gang, even though, you know, their priorities and yours are not the same. So there are lots of those kind of awkward relationships, but we like them because we want to belong. So you feel lonely in the midst of people you call your friends.
Well, I think that might also be a thing. But then again, you might also really like have, which some people will say, I'm not an expert as well, but it might just also be another, you know, part or dimension of some sort of mental health or whatever that is. Because again, you're with people, and it's not like you're not surrounded with people, family, and all of that, but you still feel very alone or lonely
because you're not feeling the love because it's not coming.
All right. Yeah. Well, this is a conversation for another time, and I'm hoping that we can talk more about this because it's actually big. I mean, a lot of people are suffering, a lot of people are just going through a lot, and I hope that we can pay attention to this. But that's the much we can take at this point in time for what is in the news. We'll take a quick break. When I return, we'll just go straight to the conversation for today. Please stay tuned.
Tell us you're a Nigerian without saying a word. Energy security is one of the most pressing issues for many developing countries like Nigeria. And if there's going to be any meaningful progress, addressing our energy issues is non-negotiable.
I need to see light for my house. Make them do something.
Band A is expensive. I literally have to turn off all my appliances just to reduce costs.
We need light.
Introducing the Energy Outlook, your go-to show for everything energy. Every week, we'll bring you the latest insights, innovation, and in-depth analysis of Nigeria's energy sector. From policy discussions to regulatory insights, we'll analyze the key decisions influencing growth and sustainability in the energy sector. We'll bring you the human stories behind the headlines, giving you a personal perspective on the broader energy challenges. Join me every Friday at 6 p.m. for the Energy Outlook, your guide to the future of energy, where energy means business.
Watching Waze hashtag, what are you saying? Now, many thanks for staying tuned and tuning in at this point in time. In case you're wondering what we're talking about, tonight we want to look at, and we're concerned, and we're saying what's happening with the scramble for 2027 in 2025. I mean, 2027, you think about that. We're in 2025. But there's so much talk about 2027, especially in the political space. And we're asking, what does that really mean for us, right? What does that really mean for development and governance? And what happens to the people? Because it looks like every other time there's an election year or after the elections, everything will just go back to the same circle. Nobody pays attention to the issue of governance. And we're just back here. Now, to make sense of all of this, tonight is Marianne Duke Okon, an award-winning broadcast journalist, and she joins me tonight. I'm sure you probably saw her at the beginning of the show. But Marianne, thank you once again for making our time to be here.
My pleasure. I feel like it's homecoming.
Yeah, you can say that.
I don't feel like a guest, so please.
Yeah, that's
I'm
okay.
not a guest.
That's okay. That's all right. But let's delve straight into all of this. You're in the space, reporting these issues, seeing all that is happening. What can you say you have seen so far ahead of the 2027 elections?
I'll start by saying that I didn't think that 2 years or barely 2 years into the Tinubu administration, this would be a priority. Normally, for politicians, what they do is they spend the first 3 years of the administration working really hard to deliver on their promises, the promises that they made to the populace when they were running for that office. Their job is to deliver, even if it means delivering 30 to 45%. Because they know that whatever they do in that first tenure will be a huge determinant as to if they would return to office. But what we have seen with the Tinubu administration is that they have continued to campaign a year after, a year and a half after, and majoring on minor things. They build a gutter and then they put it in the news for 27 days and make it look like it's a big deal. But what we also know that has characterized the Tinubu administration is that there's been a lot of hunger and poverty, and this was necessitated by that statement that he made on his swearing in that subsidy is gone. That was the beginning of the end for... I'm not trying to be, you know, a proponent of fear, but that is where we started our problems from. Yes, many would applaud Mr. President for removing subsidy because they say that, you know, Buhari played around, dilly-dallied around the idea, but that at some point we had to remove subsidy. But my continuous argument is, when you were planning to remove subsidy, what were the cushioning effects that you considered? Were there any considerations to start with? Did you have plans? What were the plans? What were the challenges that you would face when you put these plans together? It seemed like it was not a clear-cut plan. It was just a thing to do to score political points, which is something that is very consistent about this administration. All they do is try to score political points. And we've seen that over and over and over again. Why we are talking about 2027 and 2025 beats me. We have an economy that is facing a double-digit inflation. We have a country that's facing Boko Haram on the northeast, in the northwest, banditry, in the middle belt, farmer headers clashes, in the southeast, IPOB, stroke, unknown gunmen. And you come down south, thank goodness, the militants are still at peace a little bit. And there's kidnapping. So I always say that if, you know, you put a pen, and this is Nigeria, wherever the pen faces, there is some sort of problem. That is not topping the priority list of this government. And then you talk about other issues. There is nothing on the table of Mr. President that makes this front and center but 2027. By the end of his first year in office, we started hearing, oh, the president will win in 2027. And I'm thinking to myself, are we joking here? What exactly does 2027 have to do with Mr. President's 2024 and 2025? But then, of course, we can also tell, because we're not blind, that all political parties are having infighting, whether it's the beloved Labour Party with Peter Obi in it, whether it's the Social Democratic Party of June 12, 1994, or whether it is the APC itself. There have been all kinds of rumblings within political parties, and many people have constantly queried the Tinubu administration as to what exactly have they done that they promised us. Well, the presidency will tell you that we have NEL fund. Well, we're sending students to school. We're paying their school fees. That's a good delivery. Oh, fine and well. Great. What else, aside from NEL fund, has this federal government done? Oh, they'll tell you that, oh, they're fighting insecurity. The beginning of this year, same as last year, we started a new year with killings in the Middle Belt. 2 weeks ago, 200 plus people were slain in their sleep, I beg your pardon, burned to death. Before then, Plateau State, people were slain and their houses destroyed. A whole family died at once. And that has not been the priority of government. I think that the reason why this administration is so interested in 2027 is because of how they got in 2023.
Well, not to hold brief for anyone, but do you think that this pattern is just peculiar to the Tinubu's administration? This has always been...
Yes, it is. I'm sorry, because I have followed the trajectory of many administrations, like I said in my opening. What governments or politicians do is they use the first 3 years of their 4-year tenure to deliver somewhat. Sometimes the delivery is mediocre, but they put in all they have to deliver so that they can gain the sympathy of the people that they are going to go back and beg for votes. We saw that with Obasanjo. We saw that with the GSM delivery. We saw it with everything that he did in his first tenure. We also saw it, you know, go into his second tenure to a point where he decided that he wanted to go for a third term, which was thwarted by the National Assembly. I mean, that's on the side. We saw the same. Yar'Adua didn't even get the opportunity to finish his tenure. But we also saw that with Jonathan. We've seen that with state governors. Governors come in. Take, for example, let's talk about a governor that we all know, Donald Duke. He used the first 4 years of his administration to change, you know, the trajectory for Cross River State and put us on the map. By the time he got into his second year, he had become so known, his notoriety had spread beyond the state and gone to the federal government. What did he do? All he did was prioritize things he thought that the people wanted and did it. And many people would say that, Donald Duke was the best governor. He probably wasn't the best governor. Did he steal? Maybe yes, but then people will always remember him. There were roads that you and I, since we were born, we had never seen it tarred. Those roads were tarred, expanded, and businesses were flowing. Our villages, all the way to Akwabuyo, we started having lights. Akwabuyo is like the food basket of the state. They opened the roads, and so people could bring their goods to town, and food was available at a cheap price. These are the things that politicians are supposed to do. And then for a Tinubu who took over from a Buhari, and they campaigned that they were going to continue from where he stopped, meaning that you want to better on the lot that Buhari did. If you ask me, there's not a lot that he did, but there are a few things that he did, especially unbundling the power companies across the country. But Tinubu has not delivered in those areas. He made a lot of promises. In fact, there's one I still play on the radio every day where he said that if I don't give you 24 hours power, don't vote for me in my second tenure. And he said you will no longer use, you will not pay for, what's that thing you guys pay for when you don't have a meter? Yes, estimated billing. But when in 2025, you don't even have lights. And when the light comes, it stays for a few minutes. Small breeze blows, NEPA's taking light. I mean, how are we trying? And we're talking about electric cars. We're talking about infrastructural development.
No, let's not even go there.
No, but because we're in 2025. Have you been to Japan and China? They're in 2050.
So we're not there.
If our government has made these lofty promises and they've not even given us something to hold on to, what is the president going to come back to us to ask? What is he bringing to you to say, okay, this is what I've done so far, so vote for me in 2027? So, but they know how they came in. With due respect to them, they know how they came in, and that's why they're beginning the manipulation now, so that they can get ready. Have you seen them saying, oh, I'm moving from PDP to APC or APC to PDP because of my people? No. Ditto for the Akwa Ibom State governor. Ditto for Governor Obevoriwori. I don't know how to pronounce his name. And for all of those people who've crisscrossed, even people who said, my people sent me to the National Assembly, did they say that they were moving because of the people? We're not the priority of these politicians, unfortunately.
Okay, so if we're not the priority of these politicians, because again, if you look at how this politicking, subtle as it were, disguised campaigning. In some cases, you could see them subtle, apart from now that I mean, some days back, I saw one of these entertainers, I'd like not to mention his name, who was, outrightly saying, oh, he needs XYZ amount of money, and the next minute he's campaigning. Not that, I have any business with the political party in question, but I'm saying the people don't care about these political class, the rulers, our leaders don't really care about the people. But do the people care about the people? Because these campaigns don't happen by spirits. The angels are not doing all of these campaigns and, preposition and all of that. Why do you think that that's happening?
So I hope I don't get cancelled for this.
That's fine.
There's something that the Tinubu administration is very tactful at doing, and this is not just about the Tinubu administration. We've seen it also happen with the Buhari administration, the Babianda situation. There's this, please don't cancel me, there's this deliberate move to keep people in poverty. The poorer you are, the more open to stupid ideas and stupid opportunities. So if you're very, very broke, if I give you 5,000, you'll be very happy because you need to eat. You're hungry. It takes a lot for you to say, I'll die in my hunger. Do you understand? And that's why a president's son can go to the north and share rice to them and tell them, my father has done this, that, and that. And then in reality, when you fact check it, he's not done anything. There is a weaponizing of poverty in Nigeria, which has continuously kept the people on their knees. There's also a mental slavery that has been used as a weapon. So it's very difficult for you to think outside of the box. And so every other Nigerian is thinking about how to survive. They just want to survive. How do we get by? How do I buy food? There are lots of people who have taken their children out of school today because they can no longer afford to pay school fees. There are people who have taken certain things off the menu in their homes because they can no longer afford it. Something as cheap as bread. Bread used to be how much? 300 naira for a big loaf. Now you can't afford bread because it's about 3,000, 2,500 naira if you have kids at home. So it is a deliberate action to keep us on our knees so that whatever is thrown at us, like dogs, we take it.
But then again, it worries me because the Electoral Act is also very explicit about this.
I'm sorry to laugh.
Well, whatever, you're laughing. The Electoral Act, you know, is very explicit about all of these campaigns and what have you. And then,
have you been to Abuja lately?
No, I haven't. I mean, the last time I was
if
in
you go to
Abuja
Abuja, then you would ask, because I did ask the special advisors to the president about this. There are campaign billboards for the president.
So where is INEC in all of this?
Thank you. Where's Professor Mahmood? Where are the reforms, the electoral reforms that you're referring to in the Electoral Act? Why are they not triggered in this case? Or is it because it's the party at the center?
Because I remember, I'm really sorry to
Because, you know, the presidency will say, we didn't put up any posters. We don't know who put those billboards. So why are those billboards not taken down?
I also want to stay on the Electoral Act because I know vividly before the 2023 elections, I know how there was a lot of rejoicing and happiness in the political space. And it felt like it was hope. It was one of the best things that happened since sliced bread when, you know, the president actually just went ahead with the Electoral Act. And people just thought that this was just going to be a way forward for our democracy. And it was just going to be excellent with the transmission of results, all of that electronically, even though we started hearing different sides of the story. And then again, we're saying that the law is very explicit on that. Why do we still have all of these campaigns going on in 2025?
Messi, I want to ask you a question. I know that you're the anchor of this show.
Do you want me to answer?
Is the law not explicit on stealing? Is the law not explicit on child marriage? Is the law not explicit on street trading for children out of school? Is the law not explicit on terrorism and acts connected to terrorism? What has the law done about all of these things? In Nigeria, we're the only country that we catch terrorists and then we say, okay, let's see how we can reintegrate them into society. And they come back into society because there's money to be given to them. They take the monies and they go back to terrorism. It's because we're very quick to have laws. Do you know how many treaties Nigeria as a country has appended its signature to and has not been able to implement or domesticate it? We're very good at putting out these laws. We need political will. We need leaders who are purposeful and leaders who are ready to damn the consequences in the best interest of the people. Have you not seen one played out in Rivers State? I mean, Simple Virus says it's in the interest of peace. What about the Rivers people? Has anybody stopped to ask people in Rivers what they want? And the law is also explicit. But then we don't want to have this conversation.
Well, we'll take a quick break at this point in time. Marianne Okon is here with me tonight. We will talk some more. Let's just go on this break. We'll be right back. Please stay with us.
Tell us you're a Nigerian without saying a word. Energy security is one of the most pressing issues for many developing countries like Nigeria. And if there's going to be any meaningful progress, addressing our energy issues is non-negotiable.
I need to see light for my house. Make them do something.
Band A is expensive. I literally have to turn off all my appliances just to reduce costs.
We need light.
Introducing the Energy Outlook, your go-to show for everything energy. Every week, we'll bring you the latest insights, innovation, and in-depth analysis of Nigeria's energy sector. From policy discussions to regulatory insights, we'll analyze the key decisions influencing growth and sustainability in the energy sector. We'll bring you the human stories behind the headlines, giving you a personal perspective on the broader energy challenges. Join me every Friday at 6 p.m. for the Energy Outlook, your guide to the future of energy, where energy means business.
Many thanks for staying tuned and joining us at this point in time. You're watching Ways #, what are you saying? Now, if you are still pondering and wondering, the conversation for tonight is the scramble for 2027 in 2025 in Nigeria. What exactly is happening? Now, if you're already seeing, if you're following the terrain and seeing what's going on, there's been subtle politicking. Marianne would say it's not subtle, it's very evident, and sometimes in disguise. We're already campaigning. And let's not even talk about the issue of governance, but let's even talk about the confidence. What even gives you the confidence that you will see 2027, really? Yes, because we're actually not even in control of life and death. If we were in control, I'm sure a lot of people would still be alive today. That's another thing to think about. But we'd like to hear your thoughts. I mean, let's hear what you have to say about this particular conversation that we're having tonight. All you need to do is just join the show or join the conversation via SMS or WhatsApp, 081-8038-4663, 081-8038-4663, SMS, WhatsApp to that number. Now, the phone lines are also open. It means that you can call in on the show, 070-2500-77 and 49. I take the number again, 070-2500-77 and 49, or 0701 42424 and 20, 707. Oh, where's that coming from? 0701 42 and 42 and 420. Let us hear what you have to say. But Marianne, so how can we continue like this? You know, because I'll take, for instance, what happened in Rivers State. I don't know if I'm supposed to share this now, before people think I'm now. Okay, so you know what actually happened in Rivers State? Because for every time you have a government in place, and when politics actually plays, whatever happens, it just truncates the entire process. There were a lot of projects, there were a lot of contractors, there were a lot of things that would have been going on. The entire process of governance was really truncated with that move, with the state of emergency that was declared in Rivers State. As much as I would ask, was that even really necessary? That's another conversation entirely, but how can we continue, you know, allowing governance at the back seat? Because governance is nowhere. Governance is truncated. We're just all running around and trying to, nobody cares about the budget if it has been implemented, what is happening. And we're just here shouting. So how long will we continue? And what do you think that we can do now that it looks like INEC is there, but it's not there?
I must tell you, I lived in Rivers State for 6 years. So it's a Rivers way of doing business, unfortunately. I've sat through 2 governments, the middle of the Amechi administration and almost all through the Wike administration. Rivers' way of politicking is really interesting and cantankerous. With due respect to my Rivers people, I love you all, you know this. But after Odili, you know, it's been one problem or the other. And the same blow that Amechi was dealt when Wike was Minister of State for Education is the same blow he's dealing Sim Fubara. I always ask the question in the middle of that confusion in Rivers State that if Wike were governor, would he have taken what he was feeding to Fubara? The answer, I mean, bluntly, no. But then there are those who also will question how Fubara became governor, because he was not necessarily the will of the people. And so what is good for the goose, which is the people, is good for the gander, which is Sim Fubara. Not to say that everything that has transpired, including the unnecessary state of emergency that Mr. President had declared on the state, is right. But I'm saying that you cannot build something on nothing. The foundations of how Sim became governor was shaky. If you are going to come to equity, you must come with clean hands. And all of them, whether it's Wike, whether it's the governor, whether it's Mr. President, they played wrong cards. But the truth is, if we're supposed to look at who won, Wike won.
Okay. So how long would we continue, the people continue like this? Do you think there's anything that can be done, you know, to remedy the situation? Not immediately, because, I mean, what has happened, and it feels like everyone is part of it, but do you think we need more laws to address the situation? What exactly do you think we need at this point in time?
We don't need more laws. We have enough laws. We need the enforcement of those laws. And like I said earlier on, we need strong-willed leaders. We don't need rulers. We don't need people who just want their names to be written in the sands of time that they were once president, they were once governors, they were once Senate presidents. We need people who are people-oriented, people who want to serve, people who are not coming to take their own chunk, to make sure that they leave some wealth for their children, because it looks like that's what everybody's trying to do. Anywhere belle-face politics, that's what's happening. So we need purposeful leaders, people who, but then those people are not going to drop from Mars or Jupiter. These same guys who are leading us are from amongst us, meaning that they're products of us, our society. Meaning that if you were put in that office tomorrow, Messi, you probably do the same thing that they're doing. So if we must cleanse ourselves, we must start with us, the followers.
No, I'm not going to do the same thing.
That's what he said.
No. So I beg to differ.
I'm just saying that majority of us in society, we're mirroring, our leaders are mirroring us. Do you understand? For the past 20 years, we've seen the same set of people rotated in the same sphere of our politics. Who is Ganduje? Who is Ibrahim Babangida? Who is Tinubu? Who's Bola Ahmed Tinubu? Who is Akpabio? Who is Nyesom Wike? These are the same people. I can tell you Nyesom Wike's trajectory from local government, to chief of staff, to being a minister, to being a governor, to, again, going back to being a minister. These people have continuously stayed in that same circle. If we must change society, those of us who are sitting here and saying, no, our politicians are terrible people, we cannot be, we don't want to engage. You don't belong to any political party. You don't care about what happens at the ward level. You don't even know which ward you belong to. You don't know what happens. You don't know your local government chairman. You don't know what he looks like. You never, ever engage the people in your local government as to the jobs that they have to do. Do you know that it is the job of the local government to provide public toilets? Do you know that it is their duty to provide sanitation, to make sure that the markets are... We don't. We're always saying the governor should... We don't know and we don't care. Yes, as much as we think that voter education is important, it's not just about voter education. What about civic education? Do we concern ourselves with these things? We don't. We're hoping, and I always tell my callers, please don't call God. God is not a politician. He's not going to come down from heaven to save us. We need to save ourselves. And how do we start by saving ourselves? We need to begin to hold these people who are in office, representing us, account to account. Start with your local government chairman. The day that he doesn't show for work, I hear that some local government chairmen in this Lagos, even at Chelsea, they don't live here. They live in hotels. They don't even live in their local government. So how do you understand and deal with the problems of your local government if you don't live amongst your people? But the people themselves don't even care, because you go and wait for him in the council. Every day, if he hears that the council is being occupied by 100, 1,000, 1 million people, he will show up. But we're not ready.
I couldn't agree more, with what you've said, because yesterday when I went on that spree of probably ranting or having conversation, and one of the things I said is that we can't, until the people understand that power lies with them, and that the change that we need is not about fleeing this country, because how many of us can leave the country? Now you see what's happening, politically. You see all the drama that's going across, different parts of the world.
Politicians are leaning towards what will butter their bread as opposed to us. So we're just left to our own fate.
And so until the people understand that power lies with them, until the people understand that nobody's ever going to come save us.
No one's coming.
Until we wake up to save ourselves. And it doesn't require so much. Sometimes, like I say again, 5,000 naira, if you want to even do the calculation, how long can that sustain you? Even if somebody gives you 100,000 naira in the current economy
is so bad that it doesn't do nothing.
It doesn't even do anything. So do your statistics. Count well. So like I always say, I believe the Bible. So the Bible would say count the cost. You don't want to build your house and all of that. Whatever your hands find to do it well. So even if you even want to negotiate this shortchanging the entire country, you cannot shortchange well. You should just shortchange rubbish.
But that's what I'm saying. There's a mindset. So the truth is, I don't think that the average Nigerian will want to shortchange themselves, but it's because of where they found themselves. And then if you stop somebody on the road now and have a conversation, they'll tell you, they didn't get police, they didn't get army. The last time we came out, what happened? Little children, underage children, were paraded on national television as people who were trying to topple the government of the Tinubu administration. Despicable. And this is because people came out and said, we're dying of hunger. This is in the first year, sir, of being a president. And you're telling me in 2025 that you're thinking about 2027. Sir, what have you done? We're not asking these questions. Instead, when people genuinely come out to say, Mr. President, you've not done well, they will go and pay some people. Those people that are readily available to collect the money. Yeah, the problem.
And that's why I am also saying that you know, is it not logical that you think about how much you're even collecting? Because sometimes from the reports that we have seen and from these persons that we've interacted with, we find out that they don't even collect anything meaningful. It's not meaningful, it's not sustainable. If he sustains you for a few hours...
But you're thinking because you're middle class, love.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
We will
They'd
not...
never come to you, love. They'd never come to you because you're too expensive. They can't afford you.
Of course.
So they go to the person who's able to take 5,000 and be very glad and grateful because they're going to cook a pot of food that would serve the children for that day and the next day. And then whatever happens, like the woman in the Bible that said to the prophet, this flour that I have is just so that I can make bread. Me and my child will eat and die. That's where we are right now.
Because it is quite unfortunate that we have talked about why this is happening, that these politicians don't wake up to start to campaign, because we are saying that if you begin to talk about campaign shortly after the elections of 2023, or just in 2025, and so we probably don't know how many years
They're not campaigning
already.
to you now. Who said they're campaigning to you?
I'm just saying they're not campaigning to me, but my question, we need, because the people also need to understand the implication of all of this. It means that the work that you were elected to do, the reason why you casted your vote for them, if that was the case, it's not going to be lived. It has been shortchanged because now that's not the focus. You're just thinking about the next circle of when you're just going to get into the process. So you've skipped the work. It's like you skip class and then you wait again for the next time you're going to be in nursery 3 or whatever, primary 4, thereabout. But that's this particular one that we can't miss because it's also part of the politicking and campaigning, whether we like it or not. The defections that we see. Now it's... I mean, I haven't seen this kind of defection in a very long time, from 1999.
Well, I have. It's happened.
But just give me a minute.
The PDP also enjoyed this kind of defections. People always leave because they feel like the party at the center is dominating. There was a time that the PDP owned almost all the states.
But at this point in time, I mean, it kind of looked like there's some sort of cohesion, like you're being... There's something that's happening behind the scenes that we don't have empirical facts to, right? We don't have the empirical data and all of that to analyze. But again, what do you make of the recent defections?
Well, I must disagree with you slightly there. I think we have data to back it. The former governor...
No, not data. So what I mean is this.
We can't prove why they're moving?
We can't prove why they're moving. So it could just be that the power... I mean, this is not the first time that you have power at the center, right? If you want to look at the entire state. But it looks like everybody's
we can't prove, but we can
towards...
posit. So, for example, the former running mate of former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, who was the governor of Delta State before Obievori. Yes, Obievori.
Okay,
I'm sorry, Mr. Governor, your name is very difficult. The guy before him, look at the timing between when the EFCC put out his files and said, look, we're coming for you because we hear that you have stolen that amount of money. And someone came out to defend it. It didn't take up to a month, love. He's defecting. And who did he take with him? His boys. They all went with him. We've seen this detail for several other people who have moved from one party to the other because of the EFCC or the ICPC or the allegations of wrongdoing. We've seen this play out. For the governor of Akwa Ibom State, it is still baffling for me. I don't live in Akwa Ibom State. I don't know what he's really necessarily done. But Akwa Ibom State is one state that I admire because there's a blueprint, there's a trajectory. Victor Otta had put down a blueprint where all the governors have continuously followed, including the now Senate president. They had a blueprint, a trajectory that everyone has continued. But unfortunately, the so-called pastor has come and has prioritized politicking over serving the people of Akwa Ibom State. But if there are any sets of people that I know, and I've also lived in Akwa Ibom State for 4 years of my life, so I kind of understand their mindset. If there are people who are resolute when it comes to politicking, it's Akwa Ibom State people. I don't want to believe that they will cower to the APC in 2027, but let's see how things play out. If Umoino doesn't deliver on his campaign promises, they'll kick him out. I'm almost certain.
Okay. Well, the phone lines are open. Would like to hear your thoughts on this particular one, so please do well to join the conversation. SMS or WhatsApp to the number 081-8038-4663, 081-8038-4663. That's the number to send your messages to. You can also call the number 070250007 and 749 or 0701424 and 24 and 20. Let's hear what you have to say. We're really out of time. In no time, we're just going to close this conversation down. What will be your last words? I mean, to everyone, to the politician, to the Mr. President, to the Mr. Governor, to the lawmakers, to Nigerians, to the electorate, to those who are not voting and those who will vote, to everyone, including the media, you know, what would it be? I want you to take it in that pace.
I've never not known what to say, but the situation that we find ourselves in as a country today is very, very sad. Sometimes just, you know, leaves me wondering if there is really a way out. And the only thing that there is that the president needs to prove every Nigerian wrong, that he's actually here in our best interest and that everything he's doing will pay off. And he cannot just tell us, he needs to show us. And he needs to stop politicking and prioritize governance. Sir, the reason why you said you came here is to help us to stop the poverty so that we can breathe, sir. You have put shoelace on our neck, you have dragged it, we are dying, we are suffocating, losing it. Give us a break. The people that are giving us food, the food baskets of the nation, they are killing them every day in their sleep, they're slaughtering them, and you're telling them to go and reconcile. How does that work, sir? We need to see that you are a president and be presidential as opposed to being a political bigwig or juggernaut. We appreciate that you have a strong political backing, but we need you as our president to lead us. And we need to see that leadership and all the things that you promised us work out in our states, across the federation. We need security. There is no business that will thrive in a country where there is no security. There is nothing that will work in a country where people do not necessarily trust their leadership. If we've lost hope in the judiciary, lost hope in the legislature, Mr. Senate President, we don't understand what's happening in the Senate. You are just rubber stamping everything. You do everything to support the governor or the president. Is the president the one that voted you into that office? Are you not representing the good people of Akwa Ibom and the people of Nigeria? Unfortunately, all arms of government seem to be self-serving. And if we cannot have these people prioritize Nigerians, and if Nigerians don't also wake up and say, you are there for us, and if you have ceased to not be for us, we're supposed to show you the way out, and we can show you the way out. If we continue to cower as Nigerians and hope that Angel Gabriel will come down and save us, you're on your own.
Well, I think that we have to close this conversation down at this point in time. It's been very great, Marianne. Thank you so much for being part of the show.
Always my pleasure.
I do appreciate you, and we look forward to doing this.
I like that I'm sitting on this side.
Yeah, I know how it feels. I know how it feels. I mean, it's okay to just go ahead and express yourself. But all that we're doing and all we're saying is that we can't continue like this and expect a different result, because it would only be tag madness, and that's what it is.
And we as media people, I know it's very stressful. I know this because sometimes I want to run mad, but we have to continue to, we stay on the course. We have these conversations. We try to educate our listeners and our audience and continue to let them know that they can't give up. Because if we give up, what are we supposed to leave the country for? The Ghanaians, Zimbabweans to come and help us? No. The Nigerian problems need Nigerians to solve it. And we have to. If our leaders are not going to be leaders, we'll have to show them how leaders are supposed to behave. And if they can't, we send them out. The power lies with us until we realize and come into that power. No one's going to save us.
And maybe it's not even too late from today. Maybe we can actually also make a difference. Now, 2027 elections are just very far off. And, I mean, no one has an idea what is going to happen in 2027. You're not even sure, like I said prior to this time, if you're going to be alive or not. Now, all things being equal. What we're saying here is that it is not supposed to be. The conversation about who is going to be the governor of any state should not be coming on board at this point in time. It should not be heard anywhere. That shouldn't be the concern. You should be holding your, you know, governors of your state, the local government chairman of your councils. I know, for instance, Lagos is having a local government, you know, elections. You should be concerned about that. We shouldn't be talking about who's going to be the next governor of the state, the next lawmaker, or, you know, who is representing your constituency. You know, because when you engage in those kind of conversations, when you start saying, oh, 2027, Party A, Party B, Party C, or Party D is going to be this one, then it shifts all of the attention and focus on the real work of governance. Because there's governance, after politics and after electioning and campaigning, there's governance. How many times have we had our budgets being implemented to the minimum, like 100% implementation?
Oh, please don't forget that the 2024 budget is still running concurrently with the 2025 budget, and it has been extended to December. What are we doing?
And this, Marian, this has always been a pattern for us. So we've always had the case where you have the budget running, and we're not. These are the kind of things that we should be engaged.
Yes. We should query, why are you drawing budgets? When you don't have money. You should try as much as possible to reduce your expectations, as opposed to waiting for some manna to come from heaven for you to deliver on a budget. It's ridiculous how we live in this country. And as far as I'm concerned, it's the largesse mentality. That's why we have found ourselves where we are.
When you say that largesse, you just, if I want to say the things that might be like this, I'll scatter the whole country, scatter everywhere, including people in my flat who just get stray bullets right now. Because, sometimes I just wonder and I ask myself,
it's the largesse mentality. Come on, jaye, jaye. And that's why we are in the quagmire that we found ourselves, until we begin to cut down. There are countries who have decided. I remember one of these African countries, the Prime Minister said, look, no more foreign travels. You're not driving any imported cars anymore.
It was Kenya.
No, it's not Kenya.
I think it was Kenya or Rwanda, one of these countries.
It's not Kenya, it's not Rwanda, but it's one of the, I think, Southern African countries, if I'm not mistaken. He said no more. If even to go for the G20 or something, he did it via Zoom, because they are trying to prioritize their own market and see what they can do to, benefit the economy. But in our country, our president is on a 10-day visit to St. Lucia. How does that benefit us as a country?
Well, these are the issues. I mean, this is why we're having the conversation. So we're saying that rather than focus on talking about who is going to be the president, the governor, the House of Rep member in 2027 when you're not already there, why don't we rather turn our attention to, the questions like what is the budget for 2024 or 2025? How far have we fared? Do we have a trickle-down budget? What exactly are we doing with the cost of living?
You're going too far. What's the budget of your local government?
So,
do you know that your local government has a local assembly which is made up of councillors? You have questions, you go to them. What are you doing with the monies that federal government have finally said is coming to your accounts as opposed to jack?
Because every other time that you move on the streets, whether it's in your locality or your community, and you see those terrible roads in Etiosa and all of that, you need to know that there's monthly allocation that comes to your local government or local council. And this should be the things that we should be concerned with. And, not about the 2027. Let 2020, like the Bible will say, let the dead take care of their dead, let the living, let 2027 take care of 2021. When we get there, we'll definitely cross that bridge. But let's have the conversation for 2025. Now, I want to say big thank you to you for tuning in and being part of the show 8 o'clock up until this moment. It has been an amazing time. And to our guest, Marianne, you have been awesome. We do appreciate you. We look forward to having more of you on the show. Well, if you missed our quote for today, it says that for a politician, the long term is between now and the next election. That's it. I'll see you tomorrow. Now, all things being equal, enjoy the rest of your evening. My name is Messi Eboko. Have a good night rest.
Nigeria, by extension Africa, battles a growing youthful population, and with little or no meaningful engagement, leaves a ticking time bomb on our hands. We are a blessed continent with great wealth, both in people and material. Our focus on ways remains driving conversations that affects us all. Topics in the news, social concerns, politics, leadership, governance, empowerment, resource management, conflict management, finance, SME sustainability, technological innovation, food security, health, education, brain drain, our well-being, citizenship, and much more. Our goal is to continuously drive these conversations, keep them burning at the table to effect a positive change, both for our nation and continent. Ways, what are you saying, has a secret ingredient that completes the conversation every single episode, and that ingredient is you. Our past conversations shaped our yesterday. To shape our tomorrow, we must keep talking. So, I want to hear you. Be a part of our live conversations Mondays through Fridays. And let's all have our say.